Now, what are the building blocks of DevOps? So let us understand what are the building blocks of DevOps. The first and foremost thing is that these are the building blocks of DevOps. The first and foremost thing is you'll have to have a version control system where you'll have to keep your application code in multiple versions. And then by keeping in multiple branches, that is where your version control system came into picture, right? A remote repository came into picture. And then is where we have a continuous integration where you can build it immediately the moment the changes has been made. So it has to be built every time you made a changes. It is not like once in a week or once in a month. It has to do the build every time you make a changes in either a code or any particular file. And then next thing is continuous testing. Whenever the changes has been made and whenever it has been built, it has to test it every time you make a changes. Not like I'm gonna do a changes on a week. I'm gonna do a testing on a weekly basis. I'm gonna do a testing on a monthly basis. No, if I do a changes 10 times in a day, it has to do a 10 times testing of my application. So that is how it has to do continuous testing. And then if I do a changes in a 10 times in a day, I have to do a 10 times of deployment. And it has to be continuously monitored for all the deployment. So these are the basic building blocks of your particular DevOps cycle. So first thing is version control system. So version control system is the one that records the changes to a document. So basically it is not just a storage device. So it's a version control system where it will record the changes whatever you made. So it is not if I make a changes to a particular file, your GitHub or GitLab or a Bitbucket, it will give you information that in which line you have made a changes, right? You must have already seen that in which line you have made a changes. If you have deleted few lines, what all has been deleted. Everything will be stored in the version control system, and it will collect all. It will be a collection of all the codes required for a computer program or a larger website, and it will require all the dependency files. It will store all the dependency files required for it, right? And also it will help you to have a central repository where it will help you to collaborate by multiple developers. Now, as you can see in the diagram, so in a one particular team who is working on a different development, when I say it has been divided into different iterations between different teams, so there will be a different team who is working on it. You cannot expect the only one person working on it. There will be a different team in a team, 4 to 5 developers or more than 10 developers working on a different aspects of a particular application. Now all their code will be in their local machine, and there will be a certain kind of a dependency. So always they will have a local repository, and then they'll be pushing it to the central repository, which will be a version control system. And then using a central repository, everybody will be pulling your code and pushing your code, and they'll be working on your code. Probably one of the developers is working on a particular functionality, and I'm working on one particular functionality, and there's a certain kind of dependency that I want to use this code, and I'll have to make some modification in his code. So I cannot have an access to his local machine, right? So he will be putting the code in the central repository. That is where I'm going to pull that code and make changes, and I'm going to implement that. So it is used to maintain and records the different versions of your code, and you can maintain multiple branches. You can create a pull request. There are several advantages out of it, and you can create a 2 version control system, centralized and decentralized. So centralized is what you have a centralized repository from where you commit from all parts of your world, or from wherever you are located. And decentralized is where you will have your own setup dedicated to your own particular developer, where he'll store his code in only one or a particular team, and it will not be shared between different teams. So the popular tool used for a version control system is Git. So there are several Git commands you're going to use when you're dealing with the Git tools. So this is very important because your DevOps pipeline will not be local to your machine. It will be a centralized setup. So your code also has to be in a centralized repository, and it has to capture all the changes you make. So whenever you make a changes, there has to be a certain action should occur within that particular system. So that is about your continuous version control system. Next one is a continuous integration. So it's a practice where multiple developers can work parallelly and merge their code to the central repository. So here building your code and merging your code to a central repository is also done by a continuous integration, Multiple integration can be carried out per day by developers and designers, as I said. And Jenkins is the most popular tool used for continuous integration. So I'm sure if you guys have worked on the DevOps team, you will be seeing a Jenkins software. You will be working on a Jenkins tool. So Jenkins is one of the very useful build tool, open source build tool, which is used in most of the organizations. And it has a several plugin support, due to which you can use it on premises, and it can be used for the cloud as well. So Jenkins is one of the popular tool before cloud coming into picture, right? So in the DevOps market, Jenkins was the leader. Jenkins was used for all your on-premises DevOps lifecycle. But after cloud coming into picture, and after the cloud providing their own build servers, the value for Jenkins went down. And also Jenkins lacks the enterprise support because Jenkins is open source, and it has several other problems. I will discuss that later as we go further. And next thing is, after the continuous integration, what you do is continuous testing is a process of executing automated tests to obtain immediate feedback on the risk associated with the release software. So here we're gonna automate the execution through the test script. So we'll have a test script. A tester will write a test script and give it to the system, and the system is gonna run all the test script, and it's gonna auto generate the result file. And you can set up an auto generation of a reports, and you can just view the reports and see everything is working fine or not. So as you can see, after the coding part is done, the source code gets converted into an executable code. Code of each function is tested and verified if it is working as expected. And DevOps automates the process using tools like JUnit and Selenium for automated testing. So after testing is where what you do is deployment. Continuous deployment is a procedure of releasing a software. So here, whenever any code changes is occurred, and automated testing phase is released automatically into the production environment. So whenever there is any code commit, whenever there is a commit in the changes, it will be automatically tested and it will be released into the production environment, or it can be any other environment. So continuous deployment is a process which makes the application available to the customer. So if this particular stage is not there, so the customer will not be able to see any changes you make until and unless you do the deployment into the particular environment. And people often get confused between continuous deployment and continuous delivery. So we will see that difference between continuous deployment and continuous delivery. So what are the difference between continuous deployment and continuous delivery basically? So the difference between these two is continuous delivery is a manual process of deployment, right? What most of the companies does. So what they do a build, everything is automatic to do a unit testing. They do a deployment to a pre-production, and then they have an acceptance test. And then this deployment, what they do from the pre-production to production, they do it manually. So this is called continuous delivery. And what is continuous deployment? Continuous deployment is a fully automated process. That is, here you do a source code commit, it will go through all the phases, and whenever it is all successful, it is going to automatically deploy it into the production as well. And in most of your companies, wherever you're working on, most of the companies will be doing continuous delivery, not continuous deployment. And next is where we do a continuous monitoring. So continuous monitoring is a process used to detect risk issues associated with the operational environment. Now this is what is the end result, where your user has to have a certain dashboard, and you just need to view that dashboard and see what is happening on this particular application, right? So all the operational environment risk associated, any problem, any issues, everything has to be taken care and understood. You will have to set up a particular dashboard, and this is what is the expectation. It is a process used to monitor your resources like infrastructure, your software and components proactively, right? It increase overall visibility of management to organizational risk and performance. So your management will have a visibility on what is happening and what is the risk, So all this will help you to avoid the production error, right? Several companies they lack this. Because of this, they go directly into a production, and the production they face all the issues, and then due to which their application is down, or that is where you see some of the websites are getting struck, some of the applications are not working. So it happens mostly, you must have seen about most more in the mobile applications. Whenever they whenever they release an update, even it happens with your operating system, mobile operating system, Android new version deployment into a particular Android devices or an iOS devices, or any new app version is released. So that time it'll not work as expected, and you will face a lot of problems, and then you'll raise a complaint, and then they will switch back to a older version. So this happens very frequently with the mobile application. It also happens with the web application as well, and different other applications, but frequently in a daily to daily basis, you must have noticed with the mobile applications. Now it's because they did not monitor it properly when it was developed deployed in the pre environment or pre-production. They did not do the proper testing. There was no visibility out of it, and they came to the production and they got into a problem. There are various tools available for continuous monitoring, like Nagios and Splunk, Neuralink. There are several tools. So CloudWatch can work in association with these tools, and you can set up a monitoring dashboard like this if you're as per your requirement.
So guys, this was our expert from Team K21 Academy. And if you want to dive deeper to any concept, then we have something really special for you. We have our free class on AWS DevOps for Beginners certification along with some demo. In this free class, you'll be learning about why learn DevOps and on AWS Cloud, what is AWS DevOps, who should be learning about it, CI/CD pipelines. You'll be getting a demo. You'll also be getting some hands-on labs and job opportunities as well. So, in order to register for this free class, all you have to do is just log on to k21academy.com/AWS DevOps 02. And after that, you'll be seeing this kind of interface. You just have to click on book your free seat now and add your event date according to your availability, enter your name, your email address, your phone number, and click on yes, save my seat. Moving ahead, you'll be seeing this kind of URL on the extreme right. Save that URL, and I will see you in the free class. Till then, keep learning.